Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on something incredibly common, something you likely handle every single day, and then, well, probably just discard used coffee grounds.
Mm.
But what if, tossing them away is actually a missed opportunity? What if this stuff, this seemingly spent material, has loads of untapped potential around your home?
Exactly. That's the big question we're diving into today.
Right.
We've actually pulled together some fascinating insights. We looked at a recent ZOE YouTube discussion with Carly Bodrug and Dr. Will
Oh,
Bulzovich.
yeah, I saw that mentioned in Surrey Live.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And we also have some really practical advice from gardenersworld.com. So our mission really is to unearth the surprisingly diverse and genuinely useful applications for these grounds.
Okay, sounds good. Prepare for some aha moments, maybe.
Hopefully, some real, I never thought of that type things.
All right, let's kick things off, maybe in the kitchen, because it turns out those leftover grounds are far from useless there.
Definitely not. That Surrey Live report highlighted vegan cookbook author Carly Bodrug's real enthusiasm for cooking with them.
Yeah, she specifically mentioned how they can actually boost the flavor of chocolate in baking. And now that I found surprising.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it makes sense, kind of. That subtle bitterness from the coffee, it can complement and, intensify the sweetness and richness of chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really good example of how, seemingly opposite flavors can work together to make something even better.
And she shared a recipe too, didn't she? Something about granola.
She did. Her calming ground granola. Get this. It's oats, a couple of tablespoons of the spent coffee grounds, a bit of brewed coffee, tahini, and cocoa powder, all baked together.
Wow. Okay, so you're actually eating the grounds. Makes you wonder about the texture, right? And the taste.
It really does. I imagine putting the grounds straight in like that adds maybe an interesting texture. A slight chewiness, perhaps. And it's not just granola. The sources hinted at, wider uses, cookies, other baked goods. It sort of opens the door for experimenting a bit, thinking outside the box with ingredients.
Absolutely. But wait, it wasn't just baking, was it? Didn't they mention something about meat?
Oh yeah, that was interesting. Apparently the grounds can be a bit of a secret weapon for meat prep. The barista, mentioned in Surrey Live, noted that coffee has natural acids and enzymes.
Okay.
And here's the really cool part. These compounds, especially when you mix them with salt, can actually help tenderize tougher cuts of red meat. We're talking steak, brisket.
No way. Coffee grounds tenderizing steak. Who knew?
Right. It's a neat bit of food science. The mild acids gently work on the muscle fibers and the enzymes, while they act like little helpers breaking down the tough proteins. All natural.
That's actually brilliant. So how would you even use that? Just rub them on?
Pretty much. The article gave a basic idea for a coffee ground dry rub. Super simple. Just combine your used grounds, make sure they're dry, I guess, with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder.
Okay, the usual suspects.
Exactly. And then you can add your own twist with things like smoked paprika, cumin, maybe some chili, ground coriander. Create your own signature blend.
Sounds like a fantastic way to add a unique sort of earthy flavor for a barbecue.
It really does. And it just, reinforces that idea that what we think of as waste can often be a really valuable resource if you just look a bit closer.
Good point. Okay, so from cooking, what else? I remember something about smells.
Ah, yes. The fridge deodorizer. Another tip from Carly Bodrug, really simple. Just put a bowl of dried, used grounds inside your refrigerator.
Coffee has such a strong smell itself, though. You'd think it would add smell, not remove it.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But the idea is that the grounds, especially when dry, are quite porous.
Right, like charcoal.
Sort of, yeah. That porous structure lets them trap and neutralize the odor molecules floating around in the fridge air. It's a surprisingly effective natural alternative to those plastic things you buy.
Just need to make sure they're properly dry first, I suppose, to avoid mold.
Definitely. Crucial step, make sure they're fully dried out.
Okay, clever. Kitchen covered. Where next? The garden.
Let's head outside. Because, used coffee grounds seem to have a whole different set of superpowers out there.
Right, the articles mention saving them, especially for winter use. Something about compost and soil.
Exactly. GardenersWorld.com really emphasized this. Adding grounds to your compost bin, or, if you have one, a wormery, is probably the safest, most reliable way to use them.
Why is that?
Well, they break down beautifully in compost and add a good punch of nitrogen, essential for a really healthy compost. And that means, fantastic nutrient-rich soil for your plants later on.
And it's not just for the compost heap, right? The grounds themselves have nutrients.
They absolutely do. Key stuff plants need: nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. Plus, they add valuable organic matter to the soil structure itself. Think of it like a natural, slow-release plant food.
Okay, so nitrogen for leaves, phosphorus for roots and flowers.
Well,
What does potassium do again?
potassium is more for overall plant health, sort of vigor and resilience against stress or disease. And that organic matter helps the soil hold moisture, but also drain well. Really important stuff.
So it sounds great. Can you just sprinkle them around your plants then? Seems easy enough.
Well, that's where gardenersworld.com urges a little bit of caution. It can be okay for many plants, but it's not quite a one-size-fits-all solution. You need to be a bit careful.
Okay, why? What's the risk?
The main potential issue, according to them, is that because the grounds are so fine, if you apply too much directly to the soil surface, they can sometimes clump together.
Right.
And that can form a kind of barrier, almost like a crust, which might stop water and air from getting down to the plant roots properly.
Okay, so you could actually harm the plant if you overdo it, suffocating them with kindness, basically.
Precisely. It's about finding the right balance. Moderation is key if you're applying them directly.
But didn't Surrey Live mention something about mixing them with water? Like a liquid feed?
Yes, exactly. Making a sort of coffee ground tea. That seems like a much gentler approach.
How so?
Well, you're diluting the concentration, obviously, and delivering the nutrients in a liquid form that the roots can absorb more easily. It neatly avoids that potential surface clogging issue, too. Gives a more immediate boost.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so kitchen, garden. Anything else? Were there other uses mentioned?
One more surprising area: pest control.
Really? Coffee grounds deter pests.
Apparently so. Or at least there's some research suggesting they might help repel certain common nuisances like household ants and even mosquitoes.
Ants and mosquitoes, how would that even work?
Well, the thinking is, and more research is always needed, but the current idea is that certain compounds naturally in the coffee grounds might interfere with the insect's senses somehow.
Making the area less attractive to them.
Exactly. Sort of scrambling their signals, perhaps, making it unpleasant for them to be around.
Interesting. So how do you use them for that?
Super simple method suggested. Just sprinkle slightly damp this time, not dry coffee grounds in areas where you see ants coming in, or maybe around outdoor seating areas where mosquitoes gather.
Huh. Well, it's certainly a more eco-friendly idea than grabbing a can of chemical spray.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
A low-cost, readily available thing to try if you're looking for greener solutions around the house and garden.
Okay, wow. Let's just recap for a second. We've gone from flavoring food
Enhancing chocolate, tenderizing meat,
to making the fridge smell better,
to feeding our gardens, both through compost and directly.
and maybe even keeping bugs away. It's quite the list for something most of us just bin every morning.
It really is staggering, isn't it? It just highlights how much hidden value can be locked away in everyday things we consider waste. This whole exploration of coffee grounds, it really drives home that point about looking past the obvious.
It really does. It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? If used coffee grounds have all these varied practical uses, what else are we throwing away?
Good question.
What other everyday items, other bits of waste around our homes might be hiding some surprising potential just waiting to be discovered?
Definitely something to ponder. Maybe that next bag of vegetable peelings or those cardboard tubes have a secret life too.
Could be. Definitely gives you something to think about next time you're about to throw something out.